Well, hello, Mark. Here we are in the parking garage to my building, and I'm on my way to work. It's Monday morning, so traffic may be stupid. We'll see. I've got Neil Finn on the automobile jukebox.
Because of the number of files
apparently
on
I
your
have too
media
many
device,
files on my phone.
speech commands for tracks are not available for this device.
Oh, I love that. Anyway, so Neil Finn, Turn and Run playing. I figured I would tell you the songs as I remember to, just in case you hear something and you like it and you have never heard it before, which I doubt because everybody else knows more about music than I do. But anyway, here we are. We're in my parking lot still at my building. And we're turning on to Thoreau Drive, as in Henry David Thoreau, I think, anyway. And I live at the edge of a office complex with several hotels in the area. To the left, you probably saw it in the fog there, the Renaissance. It's a Marriott hotel. Marriott? Yeah, Marriott. And to my right is a office park, and that's where I got my certificate for teaching English to speakers of other languages, which I am not using. So we are about to turn left onto Meacham Road. Again, as I turn, you'll see a large building. It's the Zurich. I think it's whatever Zurich is. Is that an insurance company? I don't know. I think it's their world headquarters. Here we go. And they just built this building about 3 years ago. I watched it go up, and it looks pretty imposing there in the fog. And this rise here takes us over Interstate 90. Our interstates would be the same as your main motorways, like your A4 or whatever you've got going through your town. You call them A whatever, we call them I whatever, because they're interstate. And we've just crossed over that. Now we're coming down into another business commercial area. We've got many restaurants. We're in the village of Schaumburg, which is where I live. And as you come down to this section, there's a couple of shopping centers, several shopping centers, basically one on each corner up ahead. We're not going up there, but around here there's many restaurants and small, like, office supply, copier stores. And then going this way we get into more industrial office buildings. And yeah, we're on our way. As we go now, we're heading due west. I live in Schaumburg. I work in Elgin, and Elgin is pretty much due west, maybe slightly northwest of where I am. Elgin is about 35-40 miles northwest of Chicago. As you see here, there's some construction, road works going on. And this is the intersection where I told you I thought they were going to build a roundabout, but they didn't. They just repaved. It took them. It was a major project. They took about 2 months. One road was closed. I apologize. There will be occasional gaps in my narrative because there's nothing to talk about. And as you'll see up here, we're approaching my favorite feature of my drive, the roundabout. This is at Remington Road and Plum Grove Road. See, there's signs that help me to tell you all that. So, and they're still doing construction on Plum Grove Road off to the left as we cross through the roundabout. So that project isn't finished yet. And, you know, here we are with more office parks. I'm sorry, office buildings in an office park. And here's one of those famous perpendicular intersections that you thought are the main thing in the United States. And you're correct, it is. Most intersections are like that. There are very few roundabouts. So I'm rarely pleased with the traffic control situation. Oh my God, I'm babbling. Anyway, coming up on the left here is the lot for CarMax. It looks like a big car park. Here we are on the left. You see those cars there that you can probably see just at the left edge of your screen are, I believe, the employee vehicles of the lot. CarMax is a large used car dealership, sales, whatever you call it. They kind of turned the whole sales idea on its ear. The cars are marked with the price, and there's no haggling, there's no negotiation. This is the price, and it's a very easy experience. And now here's all the cars, and the reason I'm pointing this out is this is where I bought my car, my beautiful, wonderful black Ford Focus, the Black Bullet, as you may see at the bottom of your screen. And now we come to Gulf Road, which is named, actually, I don't think you'll see it on a map anymore, but there's, at the far eastern edge of it, or end of it, it's actually Skokie, Illinois, but apparently there was a town around there that used to be named Gulf. And so Gulf Road was the road you took to get to Gulf, which no longer exists or is no longer named Gulf. And but the name stuck. So here we are. Again, on the right, there's restaurants and little shops, batteries and bulbs and stuff. Mattress store. Two mattress stores right across the street from each other. One of them is, I think they're going out of business, or maybe they're just a clearance sale. On our right here is the bane of my driving existence, the gravel truck, or I guess you call these lorries. These have been the cause of several of my needing to replace several windshields on my various cars, to include my Nissan Xterra when I had that, and my taxi cab. So I try to avoid these things. I avoid these things like a plague, and it never fails. Wherever I go, I wind up behind one, and that's the place you don't want to be, because they drop gravel, which bounces off the pavement up to the height of your windshield, or my windshield, because it never seems to bother anybody else. And then I get a crack. I've got a little chip in this windshield. That happened about, I don't know, 3-4 months ago. And, alright, so Gulf Road goes all the way from Skokie or so, and the former Gulf, Illinois, and it extends east all the way to Elgin, where it ends. And I'm not taking it to its terminus, but I'm taking it most of the way to Elgin. So through this section, because of all the businesses and restaurants, Golf Road is 6-lane highway with a median in the center. Speed limit is varies between 40 and 45 miles an hour, and 50 when we get to the Forest Preserve. I was going to say something. There's a good chance that I'll speed a lot of this up so you don't have to sit here the entire ride. Entire boring ride. Anyway, again, just many businesses, what can you say? It's a thriving area, mostly thriving anyway. We just crossed Higgins Road, another major route through the area. Don't know if you noticed the roads. These are state routes, designated state roads. This is Illinois Route 58. We just crossed Illinois Route 72. And I think some people say route. I'm not sure anymore what we say in the Chicago area. Route or route. There was a teacher of mine in high school who pointed out that we say it differently from everywhere else in the country. But seeing as how I went into the military after that and was exposed to many people from many different parts of our country, I forgot how we actually say it here. Route or route. Whichever the way it is that you say it is the way everybody else says it. And if I'm saying it differently, that's the way we say it. So whichever one is different, route or route. I'm babbling again. So as you will see, I know we discussed it some when I was visiting you, but though there are laws in place here in the United States, they are loosely enforced and generally not adhered to when it comes to driving and lane use. As you can see, I'm in the middle lane. Mainly because I know up ahead here, this road reduces down to 2 lanes in my direction. But as you can see, the person just ahead of me is sitting in the left lane. There's no compulsion to move over. Now this isn't a high-speed motorway. This is speed limit's 45. I'm speeding. As is everyone else. But on the motorway, on the expressway as we call it, the interstate, it's much the same. I-90 that we crossed over earlier, I sometimes take to work when I'm running late, and it's the same way. People are in whichever lane they choose, and there is no enforcement of the lane usage. However, I just did see that at least there's legislation being proposed in Illinois to penalize, to cite left lane huggers, people who are using the lane which should only be used to pass, are using that to just sit and drive through. So I'm going to do a little bit of speedery driving because I want to catch this light up ahead. It is a notoriously brief light, so On the right is Ricky Rockets, a Shell gas station, petrol station. That recently, well, it was a Shell before, and it closed, and they tore the building down, and I think they replaced the pumps and made it a Ricky Rockets fuel station. And I've never been there yet. It's got a funny name. I should stop in sometime, but I haven't. And here we are now in the one of the forest preserves of the Cook County Forest Preserve District. It's a bit of a bleary morning, dreary morning as we ride through, and we've had 2 snows already. Today's date is, as you can see on the lower right of your screen, is November, well, I don't even know what the date is, November 18th? Yeah. November 18th, and we've already had 2, I won't say significant snowfalls, but snowfalls worthy of mentioning. We had some accumulation. One was on Halloween, and the other was roughly a week later. It was like last week on Sunday into Monday, and we've been robbed of our colorful autumn season. The trees had just started turning, and the snows happened and just stripped the trees bare. It was amazing. We've just like overnight into winter. So, I've failed in my duty to inform you of music. I'm probably about 4 songs through now, 3, 4, 5 songs through. Now we're on Turn On Your Radio by Mark Cohn, who I am not sure I've ever heard of. I may have told you before, my ex-wife Nina had put all of her music, well, our music, most of it was stuff that she had before we were together. But roughly, I'd say roughly, well, certainly at least 10,000 songs. There was more than that. She put them into my iTunes, which I then put into my my iPod, and I've been through several iterations of iPod, and now I've got all my music on my iPhone. Yes, I'm a Mac person. And so there's still quite a lot of music in my collection that I have never heard. This likely being one of them. I currently have my phone playing all of my music alphabetically by song title. I started this in August, late August, early September of 2018. And here we are, more than a year later, and I'm into the T's. This is Turn On Your Radio by Mark Cohn. He's quoting the Beatles. Okay, not anymore. So we are still in the Forest Preserve District. You can see just to the right, there's a sign warning of bridle crossing. So I've yet to see a horse in the Forest Preserve, but apparently they happen. We're now crossing Illinois Route 59, which runs north and south. We're still heading west on Gulf Road. There's nothing special about state designated routes or designated state routes. Other than that, in the winter, snow removal is maintained by, I believe, maintained by state plow trucks, and any road repairs are paid for by the state. So I think anything like widening for business purposes, because a section of a city or town has grown and they need to widen it, I think that comes out of the city's money, but maintenance of it falls to the state. I think. I could be blowing smoke, but that's as I understand it. So, as you can see, my drive to work is pretty much a straight line for most of the time, anyway. And we do get some rolling hills, but we just go straight up and down them most of the time. In other parts of the country, the roads are conform more to the landscape, especially older roads where we didn't have the machinery to, cut a swath through a hill or something. So. Steely Dan turn that heartbeat over again. We've just turned onto Rorson Road, which brings me a little bit of variety to my drive. It's a curving road. I usually speed through here. The speed limit's 30 miles an hour. I'm usually doing about 45 or 50. Then there's the occasional day where I get behind somebody who's a little bit more law-abiding. But this road's a little bit curvy. Runs past a school, and then there's a couple of new homes here, and then there's a small subdivision where they've started building homes, and that'll be to our right as we clear this curve. See? Oh well, yeah, there's one home they're building. Never mind. Here you can see some piles of snow that were cleared last week and haven't melted away yet. We are normally this time of year we're around 45, 50 degrees Fahrenheit. But last week we were down in the teens, and now we're only in the mid-30s while it's morning. It's probably going to get warmer today, but according to the weather folks, we have sustained temperatures about 30 to 35 degrees below normal. So it's been quite an interesting and very brief autumn season. So now we're on Shales Parkway. I have no idea where the name came from. Probably some rich white guy by the name of Shales who gave money to somebody for something, and This is how they show their appreciation. And this is Turn You On by the Velvet Babies. This one is definitely one of the songs that Nina put on. I was not into this kind of music when I was a teen and in my early 20s back in the 1980s. But Nina was. And like I said, most of the music I have is what she put on my iTunes. I've been slowly growing my appreciation for 80s music through this collection, so you know, I have to say I do appreciate that she did that. So now this part of Shales can be frustrating at times. I would have to imagine that you, especially when you commuted daily, you probably had certain strategies you employed. Like if you had multiple lanes, which lane was the better one to be in? The lane right here, there's two intersections here, and the first one we've already passed, and there's a school down there. And if you get in the right lane at a certain time of the day, you get slowed down by people turning right. Up here, this curve to the left is a very treacherous curve when the pavement is wet. The speed limit here is 30. Most people do about 50, myself included. And if you hit this curve at anywhere above, I'd say 35 miles an hour when the road is wet, I've seen several cases where people have gone off, not witnessed them going off the road, but seen the car off the road with emergency vehicles working to pull it out. Now we are on United States Route 20. We have interstates, and then we have U.S. routes, which are basically they're national routes, but they're not necessarily, you know, open motorway, expressway type things. Sometimes they get that way. This one is kind of mimicking that. It's, you know, 4 lanes divided by an earth median, or here we are, we have a crash wall. But yeah, roads here are designated. You know, you've got your interstates, which are federally maintained highways, although it's a little murky. They're federal highways, but they're maintained by the states. U.S. routes are also maintained by the states, but their routing is designated by the federal government. The routing sometimes changes, you know, through towns, around towns, but U.S. routes are generally, they maintain their route designation across several states, some across from coast to coast. I believe this route, U.S. Route 20, is one of those that does maintain an unbroken stretch across the entire country. I couldn't tell you. I haven't researched it to see where it starts, where it ends, but it's a U.S. route. It goes coast to coast. Good God, I babble. I would have the world's most boring podcast. So now we are listening. Whoops. I have to look at my radio display. It says The Water Walk is the artist with the song Turn Your Face Away. except where prohibited by these signs. And I think it also applies, you can turn left on red if you're on a one-way street, turning into the proper direction onto another one-way street. But that's the only time. The rest of the time is turning right on red in any traffic situation. But now we approach Elgin Mental Health Center, which is where I work. You can get some sense. Oh, almost hit a squirrel. Jesus Christ. You can get a sense of the size of this property. Elgin Mental Health Center used to be a sprawling campus. It's been around since 1869. It's a mental hospital. And now, and then for quite some time now, I believe, it has been where people who have been ruled criminally insane, criminally unfit to stand trial, not guilty by reason of insanity, those kind of judgments in court, people are sent to places like this throughout the state-run facility. And this is one of the larger ones now, or still, I guess, always was one of the larger ones, but even though it has been reduced in size, number of buildings, it's still one of the largest. And one of the, I think it's, at least in this part of the state, it's considered a flagship facility for mental health care. So I back into my spot, so listen for any crunches and swearing. And oh, we've got the Vapors with Turning Japanese. You lucked out, because I like to sing along with this song, but I'm at work now, so. Alright, I'll see if I can preserve this video through the day, because my car sits here. Yeah, I think I'll just unplug my camera so that I don't lose these files. Alrighty, that was my ride to work. Wake up! It's over. You can turn it off now.